whenever a new card game comes out, or whenever a new set for a card game comes out, inevitably the question comes up, what do I craft? How do I get the most bang for my buck with my crafting materials? Legends of Runeterra is no different. We're right on the eve of open beta, so I thought I would share with you the 5 cards that I'm going to be crafting early on. Now for this particular video, I am limiting it to epics and champions because those are the ones that are the most resource intensive for your crafting. And I'm also going to apologize because right out of the gate, I know this first one is a bit of a cop-out. It's not a singular card. My first answer is actually a class of cards. So let's just kick things off. Board clears. In the epic slot, there are a number of board clears that exist. Usually there is like one per region, and the way the board clear functions is kind of tied to the theme of that region, if that makes sense. So you kind of have to figure out what's the regions I want to play. Do I want to play control in those regions? And then decide which board clear appeals to you the most in that regard. And here's what I mean, right? So in Freljord, we have She Who Wanders. Like, this is just a staple late game board clear. It's going to be very attractive to a number of players for good reason. In Shadow Isles, we have the Ruination. Again, this is, you know, Wrath of God. If you're coming from Magic the Gathering, Dawn's Wrath, if you're coming from the Elder Scrolls Legends, etc., etc. It's just a blow everything up kind of board clear. So this one, not really thematic, but also because Shadow Isle is a region that has hard removal, this is still technically on theme for them. But moving on, right? Judgment, this is like a combat trick oriented one. This one might be my own personal favorite because it happens at fast speed and it enables some pretty cool interactions with cards like Fiora. But again, pretty on brand for Demacia. Now, Winter's Breath exists here as well. This is potentially your second board clear in Freljord, but it's still on theme with their Frostbite cards, which is part of their kind of region identity. Piltover here, True Shot Barrage is like kind of their board clear, and then they, very much like Freljord has with She Who Wanders, they've also got Karina as another potential way to board clear. Ionia on a body, again with Mina here, potentially a way to board clear. You're going to see a bit of a theme going on in that there's usually a creature that does it and a spell that does it. Shadow Isles, you've got Raza the Sunderer, so on and so forth. Now, in Noxus, you've got Reckoning for your spell, and then in Ionia, you've got Shadow Flare. Shadow Flare is dealing with making things ephemeral, which is something that you can do in Ionia, and Noxus here is basically just about punishing weak things, so very on brand with them as well. But overall, again, I would say find whatever the region is that you want to play in control, and then get a board clear or two that fits that particular deck or fits that particular style. So I don't know what deck you're going to play. For me, like I said, my favorite's probably Judgment. So like if I have to pick one of this class, for me it would be Judgment. But if you're going to play control, you're going to need some board clears. And these are, you know, the epics that exist in that regard. Now, my next choice is going to be a champion, and it's Jinx. And the reason that I'm going to put Jinx on my list of cards to craft early on is simple. I think she is just the best Piltover champion. And I'm not even sure that it's close in the other regards. Ezreal here can be a good finisher, but takes quite a bit to get him going. Heimerdinger is, in my opinion, fighting for the exact same slot that Ezreal is. You want to play both of them in kind of spell-based decks. Both of them are 1/3 bodies that you're using as a late-game finisher. So really, it's like, which one do you prefer? But at the end of the day, they're fighting for the same slot. Teemo is, you know, fun for a bit, right? It's a meme tier hero, champion, Yordle, scout, whatever you want to call it. It's not something that I want to craft. So if I'm going to be playing Piltover, it's going to be with no champions or it's going to be with Jinx. Now, the good news is I think Jinx is powerful enough to warrant including. And I think Jinx has some great activators for getting you to level her up. I think that her being a 4/3 with quick attack is very relevant. I'm a big fan of Jinx overall, especially in aggressive lists. Now we're going to go to my next card. So number 3 on my list is directly tied to Jinx. In fact, it's on the screen. It is Augmented Experimenter. This card pairs beautifully with Jinx, and it does an awful lot on a single body. You get a 3/3 body. You likely get to nuke an enemy unit because you get to deal 3 damage to an enemy unit. And then also you get to discard your hand, which levels up Jinx. But if you're low on cards, you get to discard your hand and then draw 3. So sometimes this is also like net card advantage. If it's activating Jinx, it's certainly going to be net card advantage on the next round because she'll draw you an additional card per round. This card just does kind of everything you want it to do in any Piltover deck that's running Jinx, and I am of the opinion that if you're trying to be competitive and you're playing Piltover, you're running Jinx because, like I said, I don't think that the other champions are close to her in terms of efficiency and power level as of right now. So this is, in my opinion, it's paired with Jinx, but this is another one of those cards that I would craft early. Next up is another champion. And for much of the same reason that I was picking Jinx, I'm picking Elise. If you are playing Shadow Isles, Elise is a good inclusion, even if you're playing Control, because of her ability to continue to generate bodies and then use those bodies as blockers. That's a pretty big deal. I think that Elise is great in aggressive decks, perfect in token decks. There's going to be a number of budget lists that are playing her, whether it's paired with Noxus, whether it's paired with Demacia. It's just a really solid card that enables a lot of the Shadow Isles like token and self-sacrifice strategies. So it's a very safe card to get more of. Also, you get the benefit of Elise coming in one of the starter decks that you get, so it's not like you have to craft a full playset of them. That's also nice, but Elise is certainly going to be in my list of cards that I'm crafting early on. Now, the last card that I'm going to be crafting, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know, or you should probably guess, that it's Raza the Sunderer. I think this card might be my favorite card in the game. It's certainly one of the more powerful cards in the game. It does so many good things for you. I've played this in aggressive lists as the top end of a curve. I've played this in mid-range lists as a great like pivot / stabilization tool. It's certainly great in control lists and can help you really close out games with it because it blows up the board, gives you a body to start counter-attacking. Raza is just a lot of value on a body. This card is, in my opinion, like the reason to play Shadow Isles. If you're not playing a very low to the ground token aggressive strategy, you are playing Raza. And like literally any other Shadow Isles list, and again, even in low to the ground aggressive token strategies, you might still want to run 1 to 2 of these. Raza is just that good. It's that impactful. I'm a big fan. It's hard for me to deck build right now because every time I start building a deck, I go, yeah, but what if this had Raza in it? And so I will certainly be crafting these very early on. And those are my top 5 cards. So I want to hear from you. What are the cards you're most excited to craft, to build with? What are the things that you think are going to be staples in the game going forward? And feel free to post them in the comments because this is the Wild West for Legends of Runeterra. And so even if you disagree with me, you might be helping other players, right? Like, let's just talk about what we think are good cards. These are the ones that I'm high on currently, but you know, it's anybody's guess right now. And I'm excited for release. So anyway, I'm done rambling. We're just going to end the video here. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. And don't forget, when the gates are released and you finally get to play, have fun.